Hi, today we're here with Natalie Rojas, and she's going to help us to analyze a little bit more about our product that we are going to launch. So, before of everything, I'm Andrea Garberi, she's Catalina Vargas, Diego Hurtado, Ignacio Sobarzo, y Joaquín Melero. So, before analyzing more, we're going to talk a little bit about our product that is called voltaic shade. Our product consists in a solar shade that, with the energy of the sun, transport that energy into electric. So what we are going to do is to use the solar energy to charge devices as computers, phones, or anything we want. But the magic about our product is that these 16 panel solar that we have on the top of the shade can just form 135 volts. That's too little to charge anything, to charge cell phone or laptop or anything. So the thing is that we have a transformer that change those 135 volts to 220. So it's like to charge our device in any plug we have. That's really good. So we don't have to wait too long to charge our phone or anything. That's actually what happened with all the devices or solar devices, that we have to wait too long to charge our things. So we're going to ask Natalie a lot of questions about actually the 5 Porter forces, because 5 Porter forces mean doing an environment analysis about what are the expectations we have to have to weight of our new product. In this case, this voltaic shade. So first is going to ask Joaquin about threats of new entrants. Then is going to talk Catalina about bargaining power of threat of substitutes. Diego later with bargaining of power of customers, and Ignacio with bargaining power of suppliers. And finally, I will conclude with the 5 force, that is actually like the 4 forces, but that is including the last one, that is rivalry among the existing competitors. So please, Joaquin, go ahead.
Well, I'm going to introduce the subject of threat of new entrants. So first, you have to think that the force of new entrants increases when there are little or weak barriers of entrance, and therefore increases when there are few entrants in the market. Also, a company's power is also affected by the force of new entrants into its market. Now, Natalie, I'm going to ask you a few questions about the power of these new entrants, how they can have strong barriers or weak barriers. Strong barriers, as I said, are when the market has less potential. Strong barriers are when when the market has a few entrants. So, do you consider there is a threat of new entrants in the market?
Well, according to your description of the barriers, of the threat of entry,
Yeah.
I think that there is a very weak barrier for entry in this business. I think that anyone, it's a potential newcomer into the business, because all you need is to have a computer and to have basic knowledge of how to send an email, an English that it's more or less in everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to be a lawyer, you don't have to be an engineer, you don't have to be a professional So anyone with technology, access to technology, can be a potential outcomer into the business. So I think it's very weak, this barrier, or non-existent, because there's globalization and that is
Yeah.
everywhere.
I agree with you. Also, many barriers are related to the cost of entrance in the market.
Mhm.
So now, who are going to be the possible new entrants or threats that we must be aware of them? What do you think they would be?
According to your product.
Yeah, according
Yeah.
to our product.
Well, there is an economic barrier, which is you have to have to start a business money.
yeah,
I think that that maybe could be a barrier to consider in this, in relation to your product. You need to have a certain amount of money to start and to be a competitive outcomer.
and do you think we must be aware of these new entrants? Do we have to take real actions on them, or just let the market flow itself and adjust by itself?
I think that nowadays you have to let the market flow, and you have to put your energies and innovation to become your product known massively. But globalization it's going on, and you can't stop it.
Yeah, I agree with you at all. So now I'll leave you with Carolina. She's going to introduce another force of this incredible
Sorry, I have a question for the barriers. What about the Chinese, the language? It's necessary to communicate with the exporters in China?
I think, well, that's a point. Apart from the language, that it's in itself it's a barrier, it's also important their culture, and I think it's important first of all to have a direct contact with the supplier, because you can Google any platform and you can have a lot of possibilities to find different suppliers, but in case of this culture, the contact has to be face to face. One, because of the language, and second, because of their culture and their ways of approaching business.
Yeah. Yes, I agree with you a lot. And the next subject is about the threat of substitute, which in simple words is like the threat that our product can have if does not satisfy the customer needs. That will be a big disadvantages for us if we don't fulfill the all customer needs, and in a future that will be negatively bad incomes and profits. So my question is, do you think that our product is threatened by a substitute?
Well, for me it's not easy to answer the question, because I'm not that technological as you are, because I'm from a different generation. But I suppose that for you it's very important to be connected all the time, to have your mobile with charge, because you are all the time in
every day.
Yes, every day, every night. So I think that it's important in the sense that, as you described in the introduction, this is like the same as you charge your mobile at home. It's 220 voltages. So the speed of the charging, I think it's very important for your generation, because you want everything fast, and if you want charge your mobile, it has to be fast.
Yeah.
And so that is an advantage, and substitute will have to deal with that advantage in your device.
Yeah.
Understand?
Yes, I agree. But and how can we prevent this? Because it's difficult for us to think what about that substitute?
Well, I think that maybe you have to think about the image of your product. Nowadays, it's very important for your generation and for any product to be ecological, eco-friendly. The topic of sustainability is very important. So you have a way on that because you are using the sun, you are using a natural power to charge the mobile. So that's a good point because that is the image. Because nowadays it's not a plus to have a concern about the environment. It's an obligation, and you are on that path. So I think that's a good point to
Focus.
to promote your device.
Now I'm going to talk about a little of the buyer bargaining power. That is referred to the pressure that customers can exert on a business to get them provide of our entrepreneurship more quality of the product, like better customer service or lower price. This conduct the industry analysis from the perspective of the seller, and in this force is one of the most important of the 5 force supporter because it shapes the competitive structure of our industry. So who do you think that can be our potential customers in our entrepreneurship?
The potential buyers of your device. Well,
I think that is in line with you said before that we know that these technological devices are used by more by young people than adults. I think it's
yes, I was thinking about that. I was thinking about your generation, the Y generation, Y or net generation, as you are called, because you are the major consumers of technology. So I think you are the potential buyers of the product, and in addition, maybe people who for working reasons and need to be connected all the time, or people who are all the time moving from one place to another with a kind of nomad lifestyle.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Do you think that is for people like more young? That is like entering to this world? I don't know.
I think so. I think so because in my place, for example, I wouldn't be interested in that kind of product because I'm not all the time connected. Sometimes you get tired, sometimes a little bit of stress, but you are multifunctional and you are doing a lot of things at the same time, and you're always connected. You are watching a movie and you are using your tablet. You are talking to a friend and you are sending messages. So it's for young generation, it's for your generation.
Maybe this product can be useful for different hotels that have his own beach, so they can buy this product in order to attend their public in a better way. Do you think it's possible?
Can be a good service, yes.
Yeah.
Can be a good service. Thinking about tourism.
Yeah, tourism. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's in that case it's a plus you're offering to your customer.
But of course, as she says, you're offering those services to actually young people.
Yeah, to young
Probably the people that pay for the device is maybe older, but the actual people that is going to consume the product is young. That's what we're talking about?
Yes,
Okay.
that's my point.
Okay.
The new
Perfect.
generation.
I have another question. How sensitive do you think that they will be to price considerations?
Price consideration. Well, it depends. It depends because it depends on the power you have to buy a product. It depends on the concern you have about environment. For example, if I'm a very ecological person, I would prefer this product because I'm protecting the environment. So I can afford, and I'm disposable to pay more because I'm ecological concern.
Right.
So it depends on many reasons.
We should take this idea really really deep in our project, because it's a great point that actually people can afford things if they like the way they are. So if they think this is eco-friendly, they're going to be like, okay, maybe it's a little bit more expensive, I don't know, but I can afford this because I care about the environment and I care about the planet.
That's right.
And because our product is more like
Yes,
sophisticated.
like a green solution
Okay.
that actually works
Yeah.
in a really good way.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
And now, focusing on the suppliers, Chinese culture is absolutely different to the Chilean culture. The way they think, the way the food, even the necessities or the aspirations. So in that way, what we have to consider to make bonds with Chinese suppliers.
Well, in my experience, I think the culture, the way of thinking, the way they have
Relationships.
the way they have of doing business, it's very different from us. So you have to get in contact, and you have to be very immersed in their culture to get to know how to deal with them. They have the business, doing business for them is a question of generation and generation. They learn how to do business from their grandparents, for their grandparents. So making business, doing business is in their ADN, and it's transmitted from generation to generation. They have a way that it's difficult for us to understand.
So you had to be like very informed. Like
Very formal?
Informal.
Informal?
No,
No, inform like to
with
the
You need
subject.
to know
previous knowledge.
Knowledge,
yeah, right.
That's right, that's right. You have to, yes, you have to have the experience and the knowledge before you approach them.
What about the way you pay to Chinese? They like more, I don't know, credit cards, or they like cash?
Well, there is a saying they have and they use in doing business, that it says, "In cash we trust." So that's it's a definition, and it shows that the way they have in doing business. And you have to be careful with them. You have to be there. You have to be careful, and you have to be attentive to every, even
Detail?
a word or a gesture you make can be offensive to them. So you have to have a big knowledge of their culture. Yes.
And the language, obviously, is
Obviously, the language, you can source this barrier of the language, because there are agencies that you paid, and they do all the process for you, but it's an extra.
yeah.
So the best way is to get in contact with them, but it takes time. It's time consuming, but at the end, it's better. It's better for you to get to know their way of doing business.
And what about when you have a project with Chinese people and you have to learn the details about the product that you want? How relation with that?
I understand your question. With Chinese people, suppliers, you have to be very, very specific. In importing business, maybe the first time you're not getting your product as you asked. The second time also, and in average, the third time you make it an import, you get the product you wanted, because they are very, very specific and they are very strict to the rule. So you have to be very detailed. Your requirements have to be very, very detailed of what you want. Sometimes I've heard experiences from other people who even get a container which is empty because you were not specific in the details of what you wanted.
So in that case, we have to be patient with our Chinese suppliers, because it's like a constantly work with that people to do a good project. Am I correct?
That's right. Time for them, it's not the same. The concept of time for Chinese people is not the same as the concept of time as we have. So people who start in the importing business are very anxious about the time of the shipping, and they want right now, fast. And that's a very big mistake, because they have their times and you have to respect those times, those process, and that way of doing things that is very different from us.
So if a supplier failed to us, we don't have to change it immediately. We have to maybe talk again with them and patiently try to form the project.
That's right. That's the way you make bonds with them.
Okay.
That's the way, because you don't have to be angry because you didn't get your product on the time they said. You have to negotiate, you have to talk, and then you're going to make these bonds that in the future is going to be profitable for your business.
Thank you very much.
Okay, before ending, we have the last forces, that is rivalry among existing competitors. That is actually the product of the other 4 forces. So I'm going to ask you these 2 questions and you're free to go. Okay. So how do you feel about our project? Your personal opinion.
Well, it's a project that goes with your generation. It's very up to date with your age. There is a lot of, honestly, there is a lot of technology, and every day you have a lot of information about new products, especially in the area of new technology. So you have to, from my point of view, you have to put a lot of energy on promote it, on have an image of this eco-friendly image that you have to explode in this case. And I don't know.
Okay, actually, talking about that, it seems good to you, the differentiation that we're going to offer, this eco-friendly thing, this change of power that we are offering? Do you feel that's good? That's maybe kind of boring for a project?
Yes, that's a good way to enter the market. A lot of you have to think about strategies to first of all become known in this massive market, and then the differentiation that you talk about. It's important because you can sell apples, but what is special about your apple? So you have to put your energy in this point, differentiation from the rest of novelties that market offer every day.
Well, Natalie, thank you so much. You are a great importer, and thanks for your time, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you. Good luck.